My 5-year-old son has an imaginary friend who tells him things that are going to happen, and they always come true. At first, it didn't seem strange to me. Kids have imaginary friends all the time, right? My sister had one when she was little. His name was Captain Bubbles, and she talked about him until she was 7. No one ever worried about it. My wife had one too when she was a child. She said her imaginary friend was named Lily, and that she used to teach her songs. It's supposed to be a normal phase. Psychologists say it can even be a sign of creativity and intelligence. But my son Ethan's imaginary friend isn't like those. He calls him the Gray Man. Ethan started talking about him when he turned 4. One morning during breakfast, he looked at me and said, "Dad, the Gray Man says it's going to rain a lot today, and that you shouldn't take the red car." My wife and I looked at each other, then just went along with it. "Oh yeah?" I asked. "Why does he say that?" "Because the red car is going to have a problem." It was July. The sky was completely clear. There wasn't a single cloud, and the forecast said nothing about rain. I laughed it off and went to work in the red car like always. That afternoon, a storm hit out of nowhere. Not just rain, a real storm. The kind no one expected. The news later said it was the worst in over 20 years. Several streets downtown flooded. And in the parking lot where I always left my car, a tree had fallen, right on top of it. When I got there, my red car was completely crushed. If I had still been inside, I wouldn't be here. I went home that night, still trying to process everything. Ethan was sitting at the table eating dinner like nothing had happened. He looked at me and said, "The Gray Man says he told you." My wife stared at me with wide eyes. I sat down slowly, trying to understand what I had just lived through. A 4-year-old had warned me about a storm no one predicted, and about a tree falling exactly where my car would be. Coincidence, I told myself. It had to be. The second time happened about a month later. Ethan was playing in the living room when he suddenly stopped. He just froze, staring at the empty corner of the room. Then he said, "Dad, the Gray Man says Grandma Linda is going to fall down the stairs tomorrow, and she's going to hurt her hip. We need to tell her not to go down the stairs. Grandma Linda is my mother. She's 71 and lives alone." I called her, not because I believed it, but because it felt wrong not to. I told her to be careful with the stairs. She laughed, said she had been using those stairs for 40 years and wasn't about to fall now. The next day, around 3 in the afternoon, she fell. She slipped on the stairs, fractured her hip, and spent 3 months recovering. When I came back from the hospital and got home, Ethan was waiting near the door. "The Gray Man says Grandma will be okay," he told me, "but next time, you should listen." That night, my wife and I had our first serious conversation about the Gray Man. She was scared, but she tried to explain it. "Kids notice things," she said. "Maybe Ethan saw that your mom was losing balance and just turned it into a prediction. And the storm, maybe he saw something on TV." I asked her if she really thought our 4-year-old had analyzed my mother's balance and predicted a broken hip. She didn't answer. The third time, that was the one that changed everything. That was the one that took my sleep away. Ethan came into our room at 3 in the morning. He touched my face with his cold little hand and said, "Dad, the Gray Man is here. He wants me to tell you something." I sat up immediately. "What does he want to say?" "Not to me," Ethan said. "To you." My wife was asleep next to me. Then Ethan said, "He says Mom's baby isn't going to make it." I sat up straight. My wife was 5 weeks pregnant. We hadn't told anyone. Not family, not friends, no one. Ethan wasn't supposed to know. There was no way he could know. "How do you know Mom is having a baby?" I asked. "The Gray Man told me," he said. "He says the baby is sick, and Mom is going to be sad, but she'll be okay later." I woke my wife up and told her everything. She turned pale. The next morning, we went to the doctor. They ran tests. It was an ectopic pregnancy. If we hadn't caught it early, it could have turned into a serious emergency. The doctor said we were lucky to come in so soon. Lucky. It wasn't luck. It was the Gray Man. My wife lost the pregnancy, but the doctor said finding it early probably saved her life. When we got home, Ethan was sitting on the floor drawing. He looked at us and said, "The Gray Man says don't be sad. He says you're going to have another baby next year, and it's going to be a girl." I didn't ask him